Good day, learners. This is me again, Sir AJ, and welcome back to my channel. Are you eager to learn something new today again? Our topic for today will be accounting for property, plant, and equipment. So if you want to know how to account for property, plant, and equipment, this video is for you. So in this video, we will be discussing the first part of accounting for property, plant, and equipment. So the standard that governs property, plant, and equipment is PAS 16. In this standard, it lists down the classes of PPE that are governed by this standard. So ito yung mga classes of PPE. We have land and buildings, machinery, ships, aircraft, motor vehicles, furniture and fixtures, office equipment, and bearer plants. So ito yung mga PPE that should be accounted for using PAS 16. However, there are items that PAS 16 should not be applied to. And these are, first, those that are classified as held for sale and they are accounted for under PFRS 5. Next is biological assets, except of course bearer plants, which are accounted for using PAS 41. Exploration and evaluation assets, accounted for under PFRS 6. Mineral rights and reserves such as oil or gas. Land held for undetermined use or for capital appreciation, and land by a real estate developer. If you are a real estate developer and you sell land, then these are considered as held for sale in the normal course of business, and it should be accounted for using PAS 2 because technically yun yung iyong inventory. So how does PAS 16 define PPE? So there are three components in the definition of property, plant, and equipment in accordance with PAS 16. First, they are tangible assets, meaning PPE items have physical substance. Second, they are used in the normal operations. When we say that they are used in the normal operations, meaning they are used in the production or supply of your goods or services, for rentals, or for administrative purposes. So for example, yung inyong factory that is PPE, or for example, you have a machinery that is for rent that is also PPE, or yung mga offices ninyo, they are also under PPE. The third component of the definition is they are long-term in nature, meaning they are expected to be used for more than 1 year. So how do we recognize and derecognize PPE items? So first, on recognition, the cost of an item of property, plant, and equipment shall be recognized as an asset only if you meet these two criteria. First, it is probable that future economic benefits associated with the item will flow to the entity. And second, the cost of the item can be measured reliably. So don't forget, first, yung future economic benefits, probable, and second, yung cost can be measured reliably. For the recognition naman, or when to remove the item from your financial statements, the carrying amount of an item of property, plant, and equipment shall be recognized on two occasions. First, on disposal. So for example, when you sell your asset or when you dispose them, then you need to derecognize your PPE. Or no future economic benefits are expected from its use or disposal. So, pag wala ng future economic benefits, you can derecognize your PPE item. Now, it doesn't mean na fully depreciated na ang isang asset in the books. It doesn't mean na wala na siyang future economic benefits. Minsan, there are times when kahit fully depreciated na siya, ginagamit pa rin yung item. So, in that case, hindi yun the recognition. Kasi, there's still future economic benefits. So, in this video, we will be focusing on the measurement of property, plant, and equipment. When you talk about measurement, you need to remember two things. First is the initial measurement, and second is the subsequent measurement. So how do we measure property, plant, and equipment? Initially, PPE should be measured at cost, and subsequently, it should be measured using the cost or the revaluation model. In this video, we will be focusing on initial measurement. The subsequent measurement will be discussed in the part 2 of this video lecture. So what comprise the initial cost of a property, plant, or equipment? There are three components in the initial cost of PPE. First, the purchase price. Second, directly attributable costs. And third, estimated costs of dismantling. So ano nga ba yung mga pasok under purchase price? First, of course, the invoice price. Second, import duties. So when you import your PPE item from abroad, there are import duties and it should be included in the cost of the PPE. Third, non-refundable purchase taxes. VAT or value-added tax is a refundable purchase tax. Kaya yung VAT hindi siya kasali sa cost ng PPE. Minus trade discounts. So pag merong mga trade discounts for short-term financing and if there are rebates. So we deduct them. For directly attributable costs, these are costs necessary to bring the asset to the location and condition intended by management. Included dito yung freight or shipping costs, yung insurance during shipping, maybe even cost of testing, and basta all costs necessary to bring it to the location and to the condition intended. The cost of dismantling, these are the costs for dismantling and removing the item and restoring the site on which it is located. For this cost, we estimate this because this is a future cost. I-estimate natin siya. Normally, we get the present value. And a corresponding liability is credited for this cost. But the estimated dismantling cost is capitalized sa initial cost ng PPE. So let's have an example. For example, Aldo's company imported a new machine at a peso equivalent of 330,000. The company has to pay additional cost of importing the assets such as 10,000 import duties and 15,000 value-added taxes. Cost of transporting the asset was 5,000 and cost of preparing the asset for its intended use include 5,000 installation. How much is the initial cost of the machine? So for this problem, the initial cost of the machine is computed as follows. First, the purchase price is 330,000 plus import duties of 10,000 plus the cost of transport, which is 5,000 considered as directly attributable cost, and the installation cost of 5,000 also considered as directly attributable cost kasi necessary sila to bring the asset to its intended location and condition. The total initial cost of the machine is 350,000 pesos. Take note that value-added taxes are refundable taxes, thus not capitalizable. Hindi siya ika-capitalize sa initial cost ng PPE. So what if there are special cases of acquisition, hindi lang normal na purchase of PPE item? So we'll talk about them isa-isa. First, what if there is a deferred settlement? No? So what if utang yung binili mong PP item? If it's a deferred settlement, you use the cash price equivalent or the present value of deferred payments. So first, pag merong given na cash price equivalent, use that. Pag wala naman, we get the present value of your deferred or future payments. The difference between the total amount paid and the cash price equivalent or the present value shall be recognized as interest expense. But if the deferred settlement is short-term, the computation is just invoice price minus the discount. Take note whether taken or not. So we always deduct the short-term discount whether taken or not. So for example, on September 1, 2018, Bain Corporation purchased a new machine on a deferred payment basis. A down payment of 20,000 was made and 4 annual installments of 60,000 each are to be made beginning on September 1, 2018. The cash price equivalent of the machine was 230,000. Due to an employee strike, Bain could not install the machine immediately and thus incurred 3,000 storage costs. Cost of installation, excluding the storage cost, amounted to 8,000. Question, the amount to be capitalized as the cost of the machine is, so to solve it, this is how we compute for the initial cost of the item. First, the cash price equivalent is 230,000. If hindi given yung cash price equivalent, then we need to compute for the present value of the future payments. Pero since given na yung cash price equivalent, we use that. Add the installation cost considered as directly attributable cost of 8,000. So the initial cost is 238,000. Your question is, Sir, bakit hindi natin sinali yung storage cost? Now, the storage cost, they are not necessary to bring the asset to its intended location and condition. Nangyari lang yun kasi merong nagkaroon ng employee strike. So, if normal naman yung case at walang employee strike, hindi naman yun i-incur. So, it is not necessary to bring the asset to its intended location and condition. Second case is issuance of bonds. So, what if you purchased PP item and in exchange you issued bonds, no? Bonds payable. So when you issue bonds for PP item, the measurement hierarchy is as follows. First, the fair value or the present value of the bonds issued, kung meron. Kung wala, then you need to use the fair value of the asset received. Pag wala din yun, then you need to use the face value of the bonds issued. So yan yung hierarchy, don't forget. On the other hand, if it's issuance of shares or share capital, then equity naman yung credit natin, the hierarchy is quite different. Kasi ang first sa hierarchy ay the fair value of the asset received. So pag given yan, then yan na yung gamitin natin. Pag wala, then use the fair value of shares issued. Pag wala din, use the par value or the stated value of the shares issued. So let's have an example. For example, on October 1, 2019, Harith Corporation purchases an industrial building by an issue of 5 million ordinary shares of 1 peso par each to the vendor. Harith Corporation's shares have been actively traded on the stock exchange, but its quoted price has been erratic, ranging from a low of 350 to a high of 1350 for the year. On the date of purchase of the building, Harith Corporation shares are quoted at 8 and 80 centavos. So yan po ang fair value ng shares. The company paid 220,000 transfer and legal costs in relation to the building. At the time of acquisition, the industrial building has a fair value of 35 million on the existing use basis. At what amount should the building be initially recorded? So, since given ang par value, given din ang fair value ng shares, given din ang fair value ng building, then we use the hierarchy. At ang una sa hierarchy ay ang fair value ng building. That's why we use that amount for the initial cost of the building. The fair value is 35 million. But meron tayong directly attributable cost, yung transfer and legal cost worth 220,000. Therefore, the total initial cost is 35,220,000 pesos. What if there is an exchange of assets or barter? Diba? Uso yan ngayon. So how do we account for exchange of assets? If it is with commercial substance, this is the hierarchy. First, fair value of asset given up plus if ever meron kang additional cash payment. Second, fair value of asset received minus cash received plus additional cash payment if cash payment yung binayad mo. And letter C or the third hierarchy is the book value of asset given up plus additional cash payment. So question is, sir, kailan merong commercial substance? There is commercial substance in an exchange if the cash flow from the asset given up significantly differs from the cash flow of the asset received. So for example, nag-exchange tayo ng iPhone 6. Same tayo ng iPhone 6. It's just that mine is color gold while yours is space gray. Walang commercial substance yon. Pero if for example, I exchanged my iPhone 6 for your iPhone 8, then there is commercial substance. So what if, sir, walang commercial substance? If walang commercial substance, then the value to use is the book value of asset given up. So for example, a brand new set of monoblock chairs in exchange for used chairs, which originally cost 300,000 and was 50% depreciated. Additional cash of 50,000 was paid. The fair value of the old chairs or the given up chair was determined to be 180,000, while the fair value of the new chairs is 250,000. The exchange has commercial substance. How much is the initial cost of the new chairs? So what do we use now? Of course, the first in the hierarchy, since this exchange has commercial substance, the first in the hierarchy is the fair value of asset given up, which is 180,000. And since nagbayad pa tayo in addition, then the additional cash payment should be added 50,000. The initial cost of the new chair is 230,000. Now, what if the asset is donated? There are two situations here. First, if it is from a shareholder, you record it at fair value of the asset received and record as donated capital sa credit. If you incurred any additional costs, you should deduct it from share premium, debit share premium. If you received it from a non-shareholder, you also record it at fair value of the asset received plus directly attributable cost. Now, and you record it as income from donations. So for example, a cabinet was donated by a shareholder. The cabinet has an appraised value of 50,000. Delivery and handling cost amounts to 1,500 to bring the cabinet to the company's premises. How much is the initial cost of the asset? The answer is, the fair value of the asset is 50, so that's the initial cost of the cabinet, 50,000 pesos. The delivery and handling cost will be recorded as a deduction from share premium since this asset was donated by a shareholder. What if it's a self-constructed asset? If it's a self-constructed asset, then these are the costs to be capitalized. Direct cost of materials, direct cost of labor, indirect costs, for example, mga overhead, indirect materials, indirect labor. And then normal waste and capitalizable borrowing costs shall be included as part of the cost of the asset. However, abnormal waste and any initial operating losses or profits that arise during construction shall be excluded from the capitalizable cost of the item of PPE. Normal waste, capitalized, pero pag abnormal na yung waste or initial operating losses, they are to be expensed immediately. What if you purchase items in lump sum or in a basket price? Kunwari, bumili ka ng land and building for a single price. If that's the case, the acquisition cost of a group of items of PPE acquired on a lump sum price or basket price is allocated to the individual assets based on their relative fair values at the date of purchase. So, i-allocate lang natin yung acquisition cost, develop a fraction based on their relative fair values. So that's it for special cases of acquisition. Now we will talk about land and building. Kasi mayroong special case for land and building. For land, the following costs shall be included as part of the land account. First, purchase price. Second, legal fees and other expenditures to acquire clean title. Broker's commission, so part din yan ng land. Escrow fees, para siyang bond or para siyang deposit, parang ganun. Fees for registration and title transfer. Cost of relocation or reconstruction of property belongings to others to acquire possession. Mortgages, encumbrances, and interest on such mortgages assumed by the buyer. Kunwari, hindi pa pala fully paid yon. So if ikaw nag-assume, part din yun ng land account. Unpaid property taxes assumed up to the date of acquisition. So if for example may mga unpaid taxes for the property, kasali din yun. Pero yung mga taxes accruing after the acquisition is expense. Next, cost of surveying. So cost of surveying is also part of the land. Cost of demolishing unwanted old structures, less proceeds from sale of salvage materials. So for example, may nakatayong building sa land, then you need to demolish it, then it should be part of the land account. But please remember, if you will build a new building there, then the cost of demolition will be capitalized sa building at not sa land. Payment to tenants to induce them to vacate land or cost of relocating squatters. Cost of non-depreciable permanent improvements such as grading, leveling, subdividing, mga landfill, ganyan. Pero pag yung mga improvements is depreciable, like yung mga driveway, parking area, gardening, landscaping, yan, mga ganun, they are land improvements. Another account, another PPE item. Cost of option to buy the acquired land, option price. However, if the land is not acquired, the cost of the option is expense. And special assessments. So, meron kasi minsan yung city or yung province, they give you special assessment kasi yung land mo kasama sa pag-i-improve. For example, naglagay ng sewerage system or ng mga traffic light or ng street light, ganun. So, you are given special assessments. It's a kind of tax. For the building naman, the following costs shall be included as part of the building account. If you purchase the building as is, ito yung mga kasali sa cost of the building. Purchase price, legal fees, unpaid taxes up to the date of acquisition. So parang kanina, those taxes accruing after the acquisition is expense. Interest, mortgages, liens, encumbrances on the building assumed by the buyer. Payments to tenants to induce vacation from the existing building. Any renovation or remodeling cost incurred to put the building in its necessary condition. For example, lighting installations, partitions, major repairs. If you constructed a new building, ito yung mga part ng building account. Materials, labor, and overhead. Building permit and licenses. Professional fees such as architect fees, safety inspector fees, superintendent fees. Cost of excavation to lay out foundation. Cost of temporary building used as construction offices and storage for tools and materials to be used. Interest on construction loans and insurance, which is under PAS 23. We will talk about it in part 3, yung borrowing cost. Expenditures for service equipment and fixtures made a permanent part of the building. For example, yung mga partitions, windows, lighting installations. Temporary safety fence around site and cost of removing the temporary safety fence. Insurance taken, take note, during construction. Ventilation, lighting, and elevator system installed during construction. So let's have an example. For example, Carmela Company commenced operations at the beginning of the current year. Costs are incurred by the entity. First, payment for land, 1 million pesos. So saan natin to ika-capitalize? Of course, sa land. Next, payment of property taxes in arrears, meaning unpaid taxes before. 40,000 pesos, land, capitalized sa land. Title search and insurance, 50,000, sa land din siya. Option paid for an alternative land which was not acquired. Take note, not acquired, 30,000. Therefore, dahil hindi inacquire yung land, expense. Cost of relocating squatters, 10,000. Capitalized land. Special assessment for city improvements on water and sewer systems, 150,000. Also capitalized sa land. Demolition of old building on land, net of salvage of 10,000, 100,000. So this 100,000 is already net of the proceeds na 10,000. Since we will be constructing a new building, the demolition of the old building is capitalized sa building. Survey before construction of new building, 60,000. It will be capitalized sa land. Contract price for factory building, 5 million pesos. Of course, building. Architect fee, 230,000. Also, isasali sa building. Building permit or payment to City Hall for approval of building construction, 120,000, still sa building. Excavation before new construction, 110,000, building. Safety fence around construction site, 35,000. Dahil safety fence lang to, temporary lang, building. Safety inspection on building, 30,000. Still capitalized sa building. Removal of safety fence after completion of factory building, 20,000, capitalized in the building. New fence surrounding the factory. The new fence is already a permanent fence worth 80,000. So that would be considered as land improvements. Driveways, parking bays, safety lighting, 550,000. Also, land improvements. Cost of trees, shrubs, and other landscaping, 250,000. Still, land improvements. So, the last topic for today is how to measure machinery. For machinery or machine, The following costs are included under the machinery and equipment account. First, purchase price net of VAT. We remove VAT. Why? Because VAT is a recoverable tax. To remove VAT, the total purchase price should just be divided by 1.12 para mawala yung 12%. Freight, handling, storage, and other costs related to acquisition. Insurance while in transit. So habang tinatransport yung machine, the insurance you pay will be capitalized. Installation cost, site preparation, and assembling cost. These are all necessary. Cost of testing and trial runs, and other costs necessary in preparing the item for use. Initial estimate cost of dismantling and removing the machinery and restoring the site on which it is located, and for which the entity has a present obligation to do so, either under a contract or under legal requirements. Fees paid to consultations for advice on the acquisition of the item. Cost of safety rail and platform surrounding the item. Cost of water device to keep the machinery or equipment cool, and irrevocable or irrecoverable purchase tax. So let's have another example for machine. ABC Incorporated acquired a machine at the beginning of the current year. The following costs were incurred. First, cash paid for machine inclusive. So kasali daw yung 12% VAT, 896,000. How much do we capitalize? The answer is 800,000 pesos only because we removed the 12% VAT. How do we do that? 896,000 divided by 1.12, that would give you 800,000. Cost of transporting machine, 30,000. Capitalize 30,000. Labor cost of installation by expert fitter, 50,000. Capitalize 50,000. Labor cost of testing machine, 40,000. Capitalize 40,000. Cost of safety rails and platform surrounding machine, 60,000. Capitalize 60,000. Cost of water device to keep machine cool, 80,000. Capitalize 80,000. Cost of adjustment to machine to make it operate more efficiently, 75,000. Capitalize 75,000. Estimated dismantling cost to be incurred as required by contract, 65,000. Capitalize 65,000. Insurance cost for the current year, not during transit, 15,000. This will be expensed. Cost of training personnel who will use the machine, 25,000. This is also expense. So that's it for our initial measurement under special cases of acquisition, either for land and building or for machine. So that's the end of our video. Now, time mo naman to test your knowledge. The first question is, property, plant, and equipment are defined as A. Tangible assets held for sale in the ordinary course of business. B. Tangible assets held to earn rentals or for capital appreciation or both. C. Tangible assets held for use in the production or supply of goods or services and expected to be used during more than one reporting period. Or D. Tangible assets held for use in the production or supply of goods or services for rental to others or for administrative purposes and expected to be used during more than one reporting period. Comment down below your answer. I-reply ko kung tama ka. Test your knowledge question number 2. A machine was purchased on account with a price of 2 million pesos with credit terms 3, 10, and 30. Other costs paid were freight charges of 2,000, repairs of 3,500 for damage during installation, and installation cost of 2,250. Estimated future dismantling cost of the new equipment is 40,000. The company paid 20,000 to dismantle the old machine to make room for the new one. The company paid the purchase price beyond the discount period. How much is the initial cost of the machine? A. 2,047,750. B. 1,987,750. C. 1,967,750. Or D. 2,027,750. Again, if you know the answer, please comment sa video na to yung answer mo. I will reply kung tama ang iyong computation. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for reaching this part of the video. Again, if you like this video, please click like and please subscribe to my channel para maging updated ka kung meron akong bagong mga video. Please also comment and share this to your other friends, classmates, and other learners so that sila rin makakakita ng mga videos natin ng accounting tutorials. Don't forget, we don't stop learning and we learn something new every day. I hope you learned something new every day. So that would be all for today. Thank you very much. Bye. See you sa next video.